The dinner table was set for 4. White china, crystal glasses, pot roast in the center, exactly as promised. A 4th chair, positioned precisely, like a stage prop waiting for its cue. My mother was smiling, the particular smile she reserves for moments when she is about to dismantle something she finds inconvenient. My father waited until Ben lifted his fork. Then he set down his own napkin with deliberate care, turned to my fiancé, looked him directly in the eyes, and said, "There is something you need to know about Juliet before you marry her." He paused. A practiced pause. The kind that has been rehearsed in front of a bathroom mirror. She had a child 8 years ago. She gave it up for adoption and never told you. Ben placed his fork down, slowly, without a flicker of surprise. "I know," he said. My mother blinked. The smile faltered. "You know? Juliet told me over a year ago." My father recovered quickly, his voice sharpened like a tool being drawn across stone. "Did she tell you that she had no idea who the father was? That after we were separated, she had been with multiple men, and that child could have belonged to anyone? That she tried to trap someone with it, and when he refused, she abandoned her own daughter like refuse? That she is corrupted to her very core?" My mother leaned forward, her voice dropping to a hiss that was somehow louder than shouting. "Don't let her trap you the same way. She left that baby. She walked away. Don't let her do to you what she did to that child." I sat at the table. I said nothing. Not because I had no words, because what my parents did not know, what they could not possibly have known in all their careful weeks of preparation and intelligence gathering and vindictive planning, was that my fiancé had already spent the last 6 months methodically rebuilding every single thing they had destroyed. And they had absolutely no idea that she was about to walk through that door. The girl they had forced me to give away, 8 years old, dark curls, a white dress with a purple sash, holding a hand-drawn sign that read, "See you at the rehearsal dinner. Let me tell you how we got there. My name is Juliet Anderson. I am 29 years old. And 14 days before my wedding, my own parents sat across a candlelit dining room table and tried to reduce my entire life to a story that would fit inside their shame. They failed. But to understand how they failed, you need to understand what they had been building for 8 years. What they had destroyed. What they believed was gone forever. And what my daughter had been drawing in her bedroom in Brooklyn, in a portrait with 2 shadow figures and question marks where my face should have been. Ben and I met in the St. Catherine's Library when I was 16 and he was 18. He was sketching architectural designs for his college portfolio. Open on the table, precise and full of intention. I sat down next to him under the pretense of studying calculus. I asked about the drawings. He turned them to show me. A house with a wraparound porch, wide windows, trees surrounding it on 3 sides. "A someday project?" he said. "A college assignment?" "No, a future one, for when I have a family." He gave me that sketch on my 17th birthday, folded along 4 creases. I carried it everywhere for 2 years. It is still in a box in my closet, folded along those same creases, never once unfolded and refolded differently. Some things hold their original shape no matter what happens around them. We dated for 2 years. He enrolled at MIT for architecture. I planned on pre-med at Boston College. My mother endured our relationship the way she endured anything she couldn't control, with a steady current of small, barbed remarks. "He is too old for you, Juliet." 2 years difference, hardly a scandal. To her, it was simply more evidence of my poor judgment, a running file she had been building since I was approximately 11 years old. In December 2016, I was 18 and a freshman at BC. I missed my period. Alone in my dorm bathroom on a Sunday morning, I took the test. 2 lines appeared immediately. I sat on the edge of the tub and stared at it for 20 minutes. Then I made the first and worst decision of what followed. I called my mother before I called Ben. She drove to campus. We sat in the living room of my dorm apartment. I told her I was pregnant, and I was scared, and I didn't know what to do. I was crying. My voice was completely unsteady. She did not hold me. She did not ask if I was all right. She did not ask about Ben. She said, quietly and with complete precision, "You will take care of it." I told her I couldn't do that. Her face went the specific white of something draining. "Then we will handle it another way." That was the moment the decision stopped being mine. January 2017. My parents withdrew me from Boston College. Medical leave for health reasons, they told the registrar. I was 2 months pregnant and returned to my childhood bedroom in Wellesley. They called it homeschooling. In practice, I occupied a room in a house that had become a holding cell, acutely aware of the life growing inside me, searching daily for a way out that didn't exist. They had already handled Ben. Using my email account, they sent him a breakup message. "I think we should end this. It's not working." He called for 2 weeks. My mother answered my phone each time. "Juliet needs space. Please stop calling." He stopped after 2 weeks. I don't blame him. He had no way of knowing. From inside that house, with no phone access and no money and no allies, I had no way of reaching him either. My father made his position explicit on a Sunday morning. "If you contact him, we disown you. No college, no car, no phone. You will have nothing." He said it the way people state weather conditions. Factual, impersonal, entirely without heat. That was always the most effective version of his authority. The cold kind. So I stayed. I let them orchestrate what came next. At 3:42 a.m. on August 13th, 2017, I was admitted to Newton Wellesley Hospital. The labor lasted 16 hours. My parents sat in the waiting room, present in the way sentinels are present, not for comfort, but to ensure containment. The adoption social worker arrived in a gray suit with a clipboard and a smile calibrated to convey sympathy without warmth. She had clearly done this many times. I gave birth to a girl, 6 pounds, 8 ounces, dark hair, perfect in every detail. I asked to hold her. My mother said, "It's better if you don't. A clean break is easier." The social worker nodded her professional agreement. But a young nurse, maybe 25, with steady hands and the quiet competence of someone who has learned to read rooms, looked at me, then at the infant, then at me again. She made a decision of her own. She said softly, "I can give you a few minutes." And she placed my daughter on my chest. 90 seconds. That is what I was given. I tried to memorize everything with the desperate efficiency of a person who knows they are about to lose something and cannot stop it. Her weight, heavier than I'd imagined, solid and real and warm. The particular heat of a newborn's scalp. A small birthmark on her left shoulder, shaped like a crescent moon. The way her fingers curled slightly inward. I whispered, "I'm so sorry." My mother said, "That's enough." The nurse lifted her gently from my chest. I was sobbing with the total, breathless quality of grief that hasn't yet become coherent. "What's her name?" I begged. "Please, just tell me her name." The social worker said, "The adoptive family will give her a name." They offered me a sedative. I was so utterly undone that I accepted it. When I woke 6 hours later, she was gone. Different arms, different home, different name, and I had not said goodbye. On August 14th, 2017, I signed the papers for a closed adoption. No contact, no information, no updates. My mother stood over me while I signed. She said, "You'll thank us when you're older." I went home and didn't leave my room for 3 weeks. My mother converted the nursery into a guest room within the week. Curtains changed, furniture rearranged, the evidence replaced with a guest bed and fresh paint. "There's no point in dwelling," she said. She said it with genuine conviction. That was always the most frightening thing about her. She was never performing. She actually believed it. I started therapy in October 2017. My therapist said, "You've experienced a profound loss. Grief has no fixed timetable. I said, but I chose this, didn't I? She looked at me for a long time before she asked, did you? Truly? Every August 13th for the next 8 years, I called in sick, stayed in bed, and counted the hours since I had last held her. 90 seconds, 8 years, 53,040 hours. I kept a box in the back of my closet. 8 sealed birthday cards, 1 per year, written and never sent. Because there was no address. No name, no way in. Every August 13th, I drove to the Newton Wellesley Hospital parking lot and parked in the exact spot where my parents had parked that night. I sat there. I counted her birthdays. In the dark of the car, I whispered, "You're 2 today. You're 4. You're 5. I wondered what she looked like, whether she knew she was adopted, whether she ever thought about me. On August 13th, 2022, I sat in that lot and whispered, "You're 5 today. Do you like kindergarten? Do you have my eyes?" No answer came. There never was. I transferred to Simmons University's nursing program in 2018. I couldn't protect my daughter. Perhaps I could protect someone else's. I graduated in May 2021 and started at Children's Hospital Boston, pediatric unit, a month later. Every infant I held was a reminder. My therapist asked whether this was self-punishment or healing. Possibly both, I told her. She said that was honest. I built a life that looked functional from the outside, a career I genuinely loved, an apartment in Cambridge, good friendships, ongoing therapy. I dated occasionally, a few relationships that went nowhere, each one ending with the specific hollow feeling of something that almost fits but doesn't. Every August 13th, I disappeared. Claire, my closest friend and fellow nurse, knew why. She never pushed. She just made sure I ate something the next day. My parents and I maintained minimal contact. Holidays, superficial conversation, the performance of a family that had agreed, without ever discussing it, to never mention what had happened. I thought of my daughter every single day. They behaved as if she had never existed. March 15th, 2023. I was conducting rounds on the 4th floor of Children's Hospital when an administrator came through with an architect assigned to measure the new pediatric wing expansion. I was checking a patient chart. The architect turned around. 8 years. He looked older, more distinguished, jaw sharper, the ease of a man who had built something real. But unmistakably him. The administrator said, "Juliet Anderson, this is Benjamin Foster from Foster & Holmes Architecture." Ben said, "Actually, we already know each other." An hour later, we were in the hospital cafeteria. 2 coffees cooling on the table between us, neither of us touching them. He talked for 3 hours. He said he had never stopped thinking about me. He had never understood why I left. He had tried dating, but every relationship felt like an attempt to replace something irreplaceable. I told him most of the truth. My parents had forced us apart. I had been pregnant when they separated us. I had a daughter, born August 2017, placed for closed adoption. I told him I had no way of knowing where she was. What I didn't tell him, what I had convinced myself was true, was that I was uncertain about the paternity. I had been so devastated in those months that I had constructed a narrative in which the timing was ambiguous. Trauma doesn't follow logic. It constructs whatever story allows you to function. I was wrong about the paternity, but I didn't know that yet. We rebuilt slowly, carefully, with the particular caution of 2 people who have been hurt by the same thing and are not entirely sure the other one won't hurt them again. Couples counseling started in November 2023, a therapist who specialized in adoption trauma. Ben listened with total attention. He asked good questions. He took notes in a small notebook. I assumed he was trying to understand me better. He was building a plan. December 20th, 2024. Rooftop of his apartment building in Cambridge. Sharp winter air. The Charles River below, reflecting the city lights like hammered metal. He had arranged candles in mason jars. Saccharine and completely charming, he said, exactly as he knew I'd find it. He knelt and said, I lost 8 years with you. I can't lose another 8 days. Vintage sapphire ring, his grandmother's, the one woman in his family he said had truly understood him. A family heirloom for the family we're building, he said. I said yes before he finished the sentence. Then, standing on that rooftop with the ring on my finger, I told him the rest. The timeline. The possibility the child was his. His face did not register what I expected. Anger or shock, or the pulling back of someone recalibrating. Instead, his expression went to a place I can only describe as unyielding. If there is any possibility she is ours, he said, I need to know. Closed adoption means there are always ways. 3 weeks later, he ordered a 23andMe kit. February 2025, results arrived. Standard European ancestry breakdown. No close family matches. He stared at the screen for a long time. Nothing, he said. I told him I had expected as much. He nodded, but the disappointment was visible in the set of his jaw. What neither of us understood. DNA databases are not static. Every new participant triggers automated matching against all existing profiles. And 6 months later, a small girl in Brooklyn spit into a tube for a doctor's recommendation, and everything changed. Jennifer Walsh is a pediatrician in Brooklyn. Her husband Michael teaches high school history. They had adopted their daughter as an infant and had always been completely transparent with her about it, told her early, answered every question, never once suggested the subject was closed. At a routine checkup in August 2025, the doctor asked about family cardiac history. Jennifer said, "Unknown, she's adopted." The doctor suggested a genetic test, purely for medical records. That evening, Jennifer mentioned it to Michael. Worst case, we learn her ancestry. Best case, we get useful medical data. They ordered the kit. Their daughter, Lily, found the whole thing mildly amusing. She spit in a tube, mailed it, and forgot about it immediately. September 3rd, 2025. Results. The system flagged a close family match. Benjamin Foster. Possible father, age 31, Massachusetts. Jennifer and Michael stared at the screen. Simultaneously, on the other side of Boston, Ben's phone buzzed with a notification from the same app. New close family match, Lily W., age 8, parent-managed account. Location, Massachusetts. Ben told me later that he stared at that notification for a full hour. Lily, born August 2017, Massachusetts. He didn't tell me immediately. He needed certainty before he gave me hope he couldn't sustain. So he did what Ben does with every complex problem. He built a plan before he opened his mouth. September 4th, 2025. Ben hired a private investigator, a former Boston police detective with a background in adoption reunions, property records in Brooklyn. Jennifer Walsh, 43, pediatrician. Michael Walsh, 45, high school teacher. Female dependent, age 8. School enrollment records cross-referenced with addresses. Lily Walsh, 3rd grade, Brookline Elementary. The school website had class photos from the previous year. 2nd grade. Front row, 3rd from the left. Purple shirt, dark curls, gap-toothed smile. Ben called me to his apartment on September 21st. His voice was serious but steady. He said, "I found her." I thought he was joking. Then he put his phone on the table. The 23andMe match. The investigator's report. The photograph. I collapsed. I don't clearly remember the next hour. I remember crying. Ben holding me, saying how over and over, unable to stop. He explained everything slowly. The DNA test, the match, the 6 months of waiting for a database hit, the investigator. And then he said, "Juliet, the match says I'm her father. It's not someone else. She is ours." 8 years, 90 seconds on a hospital bed, 8 birthday cards sealed in a box with no address, and a gap-toothed smile in a purple shirt. Her name was Lily. October 2025. Ben retained Helen Strickland, a family law attorney specializing in adoption. The goal was not reclamation. We understood that was not how adoption worked, nor what we wanted. Lily had parents who loved her. The goal was contact, if the Walsh family was willing. Massachusetts law permits birth parent contact only with the adoptive parents' full consent. If they refused, we had no legal recourse whatsoever. Helen sent a formal letter. 3 weeks of silence. I began preparing myself for the version of this where closed truly meant closed. Then Jennifer Walsh called. Ben and I sat in Helen's office, hands interlocked, barely breathing. Jennifer's voice on speakerphone was warm and precise. The voice of a woman who has thought carefully about the words she is choosing. We have always wanted Lily to know her birth parents. We tried to maintain contact after the adoption, but the agency told us the birth mother had requested complete severance. She paused. We were told you wanted no further communication. A cold moved through my chest. I had never said that. My parents had. Lily asks about her birth mother every year on her birthday, Jennifer continued. We always told her we would help her find you when she was ready. We had no idea you were already looking. Ben and I were both crying by then. We don't feel threatened, Jennifer said. Lily is lucky to have more people in her corner. We would be honored to facilitate a meeting. We scheduled it for February 14th, Valentine's Day, under the guidance of a family therapist. 1 hour, the Walsh residence in Brooklyn. In December 2025, the Walshes began sending emails through the attorney. Photographs of Lily, stories about her life. She loves art. She plays the violin. She wants to be a veterinarian. She is in 3rd grade. Her favorite color is purple. Jennifer sent a scanned drawing Lily had made the year before. A family portrait. 2 adults labeled Mom Jennifer and Dad Michael. A girl in the center labeled me. And in the background, 2 figures drawn in shadow, marked with question marks. Jennifer wrote, Lily drew this last year. She envisioned you with long, dark hair and kind eyes. Her accuracy was remarkable. I looked at that drawing for an hour. She had been thinking of me. All those years when I sat in a parking lot whispering into the dark. She had been drawing my silhouette in purple crayon in Brooklyn. February 14th, 2026. A blue Victorian house in Brooklyn with window boxes full of winter flowers. Lily's artwork on the refrigerator. Jennifer and Michael at the door, exactly as they looked in their photographs. Kind eyes, firm handshakes, the grounded energy of people who have nothing to prove. The therapist, Dr. Reeves, reviewed the guidelines. Let Lily set the pace. Let her lead. This was her story as much as ours. Then Lily came in. She was smaller than I had imagined. 8 years old, dark curly hair, purple dress with white buttons. She walked into the room, crossed directly to me, and looked up with the focused, measuring gaze of a child who takes information seriously. Are you Juliet? I nodded. My voice was somewhere in the region of my chest, unable to surface. I've been waiting to meet you. She was holding a photo album constructed from cardstock and covered in glitter. Adhesive letters across the front. Lily's life. I made this. She sat beside me on the sofa and walked me through every page. 6 months old, first birthday, kindergarten, violin recital, art exhibition. She narrated each photograph with complete composure, not to cause pain, simply to share the record of her existence, matter-of-factly, the way children present things they are proud of. When she reached the last page, she closed the album and looked at me. Did you want to keep me? That question came for me in a place I hadn't fully protected. Yes, I managed. More than anything in the world. But I was 18, and my parents wouldn't allow it. They arranged the adoption without giving me a real choice. And I have regretted that every single day since August 13th, 2017. She absorbed this with the solemn concentration of someone taking evidence. Then, so why didn't you find me sooner? Ben said quietly. Because we didn't know how until now. She looked from him to me. Then she said, "So you're like my original parents?" "Yes," I said. "Cool." She stood up. "Want to see my room?" Her bedroom was painted celestial blue with stars on the ceiling, a violin propped in the corner, artwork covering every inch of wall space. On one wall, the family portrait, the two shadows with question marks. She saw me looking at it. "I drew that last year. I didn't know what you looked like, so I just made shadows." She picked up a marker tin from her desk. "But now I can finish it." She drew features onto the shadow figures with careful, deliberate strokes. Long brown hair for me, tall with glasses for Ben. He doesn't wear glasses, but she gave them to him anyway, perhaps because they seemed architecturally appropriate. She labeled the figures Juliet and Ben, not Mom and Dad, our names. That was right. We hadn't earned those names yet. After Lily went to practice violin in the other room, Jennifer and Michael sat with us. Jennifer said, "We've consistently believed that adoption doesn't mean unwanted. It means an abundance of love, distributed differently." Michael said, "Lily is lucky to have 4 people who will show up for her." We agreed on a plan. Weekly visits, gradual and unhurried. No pressure, no titles until they felt earned. Let Lily lead. Before we left, she made us pinky promise to come back the following week. Driving home through Brooklyn, I felt something I had genuinely forgotten the texture of. Lightness. The specific lightness of a weight that has been carried so long, you stop noticing it, suddenly gone. And then I remembered. My parents had no idea, and our wedding was 6 weeks away. We visited Lily 3 more times before the situation collapsed. February 21st, February 28th, March 7th. With each visit, she opened further. Showed us school projects, played violin, asked about our medical histories with the pragmatic curiosity of someone building a complete picture. "Do I get my curly hair from you?" "Yes." "And my dad's smile?" "Yes." By the 3rd visit, she gave a brief, slightly sideways hug goodbye. I wept in the car for 12 minutes. Ben kept his eyes on the road and said nothing, which was exactly right. On March 7th, Lily looked up and said, "Jennifer said you're getting married soon. Can I come?" Ben had the invitation in his jacket pocket. He had been waiting for the right moment. That evening, we considered telling my parents about Lily before the wedding. We decided against it. Shield her from their reaction until after. A clean ceremony, then disclose. Protect Lily first. It was our most significant miscalculation. February 28th, around 3 p.m. My mother was driving through Brooklyn to visit a college friend. She stopped at a red light on a residential street. She saw Ben on the sidewalk. He was walking beside a small girl, holding her hand. Dark curls, the specific gait of someone I had known at that age. Patricia Anderson's heart stopped. The girl looked exactly like me at 8 years old. She followed them, watched Ben walk the girl to a Victorian house on Stephen Street. She wrote down the address with the focused efficiency of a woman who has always known that information is leverage. Over the next 24 hours, she worked through property records, social media profiles, and adoption registries with the methodical determination of someone who has been waiting for a specific threat to materialize. By Saturday morning, she had everything. Sunday, March 1st, 9 a.m. Ben was at the grocery store. A firm, rapid knock at my apartment door. My parents walked past me into the living room. My mother sat down without being asked. My father remained standing. "We need to talk about the child." "What child?" "Don't, Juliet." "We saw Benjamin with her." What followed was 2 weeks of siege. Every weapon in the Anderson household arsenal, deployed in sequence. Threats. "We will tell the church you are harassing the Walsh family." Guilt. "After everything we have sacrificed for you?" Bribery. "We will fund a European honeymoon if you stop this immediately." Manipulation. "You will only confuse and damage an innocent child." None of it worked. I blocked their number on March 13th. They moved to their final option. Tell Ben everything. Assume he was ignorant. Watch the engagement unravel. That dinner invitation had been dispatched 3 weeks earlier. They had planned an intervention even before discovering Lily. Now it would serve a different purpose entirely. March 14th, 14 days before the wedding. Ben and I drove to Wellesley. He carried his phone with a folder labeled simply Lily. Inside, the 23andMe confirmation, correspondence with the Walsh family, therapist's notes, legal timeline, photographs of the 3 of us together. A letter from Jennifer Walsh. I asked, "What if they have something we can't counter?" Ben said, "Then we debunk it together." The Anderson house at dusk, stately colonial, immaculate grounds, church directories stacked in the foyer. My mother met us at the door with an excess of warmth. Too many compliments, too much eye contact. The undercurrent was clear. "You are here because I allowed it." The dining room. White china, crystal, pot roast as promised. 4 settings, the 4th chair empty. My father said a long grace with pointed emphasis on the themes of honesty, transparency, and the sanctity of marriage. My mother served the pot roast with careful, hostess-perfect gestures. I lifted my fork. "There is something you need to know about Juliet before you marry her." You already know what followed at the table. My father's accusations, my mother's hissed warning, Ben's completely composed replies. When my father escalated to the specific cruelty of calling her a bastard child who had been abandoned like refuse, Ben set his fork down one final time. I know exactly who the father is. Silence so complete I could hear the candle flames. I am. 23andMe confirmed it 6 months ago. My mother's face went the white of something structural failing. My father said, "The timeline. August 2017. Juliet and I were together in December 2016. You separated us in January 2017 when she was 2 months pregnant. You forced a closed adoption to eliminate your embarrassment. Should I continue?" My mother found her voice. "You have no right to know my own daughter," Ben said. Interesting position for the supposed grandparents. My father stood. "Even if that's accurate, which I doubt, that child is legally adopted. You have no claim whatsoever." "We're not claiming custody," Ben said. "We have been in contact with Lily for 6 weeks. With her adoptive parents' full support and legal guidance." He placed his phone on the table, opened a photograph. Dated March 7th. Lily, Ben, and me, smiling. She was holding a hand-drawn sign. "See you at the rehearsal dinner." My mother stared at the image. Then she looked up and delivered the line that had been building all evening, the one she had come to say. She abandoned her own child like garbage. She is corrupted to her core. Ben's voice, when it came, was entirely flat and cold. She abandoned no one. You took her daughter, and you are about to lose your own. My mother stood. "If you continue this, we will not attend the wedding. We will tell everyone what kind of woman she is." Ben opened his folder. "Please do. Here is what we have. 23andMe paternity confirmation. Correspondence with the Walsh family, who, incidentally, attempted to contact Juliet for years post-adoption and were told by the agency she had requested complete severance. She never said that. You did. Therapist's notes documenting Juliet's coerced consent. Hospital records indicating her explicit refusal of the adoption in the delivery room, overridden by family pressure. A legal timeline showing the speed with which this was arranged, and a written statement from Jennifer Walsh. My father's voice. "You've been building a case against us." "We've been protecting Lily from you," Ben said. "There's a difference." My mother's final threat. She would call the Walsh family that night, tell them I was unstable, that we were harassing them, that the reunion should be terminated. "Please do," Ben said. "They're expecting the call. They have their own legal representation, and they know your complete history with this situation." My mother's voice finally broke. Not with grief, but with the specific sound of something that has run out of leverage. You've been planning this. We've been protecting our daughter, Ben said. Something you should have done 11 years ago? I stood. The ring was on my finger. I looked at my mother, and I did not raise my voice. Effective immediately, you are not invited to the wedding, the rehearsal dinner, or any event in our lives. You lost the right to be my parents the day you stole my daughter. We left. The drive home was mostly quiet. Then I said, "They won't stop." "I know," Ben said. "That's why I invited them to the rehearsal dinner." I stared at him. He had sent the invitations 3 weeks before this dinner, when my parents were still simply a threat on the horizon rather than an active campaign. He had anticipated that they would eventually discover Lily. He wanted the confrontation to happen in public, in front of witnesses, so that whatever they said and whatever they tried could never be quietly revised into a more comfortable version of events afterward. What if it goes wrong? Then Lily will understand exactly why we kept them away from her, and so will 40 other people. March 28, 2026, 6 p.m. The Fairmont Copley Plaza. 128 guests. Both families, hospital colleagues, architecture partners, college friends, and 5 members of my parents' church congregation. People who had known them for 20 years and had always been told a very particular story about what kind of family the Andersons were. The Walsh family at table 1, positioned near the exit, so Jennifer could take Lily out quietly if it escalated. Dinner began well. Salmon, roasted vegetables, good wine. The best man's toast was genuinely funny. Claire's speech made me cry twice. Ben's father spoke about finding your way back to the person you were always supposed to be beside. My parents arrived at 6:15, deliberately late enough to be noticed, early enough to not be excluded. Patricia in navy and pearls, George in a dark suit, the image of respectability they had spent 40 years constructing in this city. They took their seats at table 8, near the exit. Dinner proceeded. More speeches. And then Ben stood. The room shifted to quiet. Most of you know Juliet and I dated in high school and were separated for 8 years. What you may not know is that the separation was not voluntary. Family interference, deliberate and sustained, kept us apart during years that mattered. He looked once, briefly, at table 8. But 3 years ago, we found each other again. And this time, we came back with more than we had before. He paused. There is someone else who wants to say hello tonight. He nodded toward the door. It opened. Jennifer Walsh stepped in, holding the hand of a young girl in a white dress with a purple sash. Lily. The room went completely silent. The particular silence of 40 people registering something they weren't prepared for. Lily walked between tables, eyes on mine, small and completely steady in a room of strangers. She reached the head table. She looked at me. She smiled the gap-toothed smile I had first seen in a school photograph on a private investigator's report. "Hi," she said. "I'm Lily." She turned to face the room. Her voice was small and clear. "I'm Juliet and Ben's daughter, biological daughter. I have 2 moms and 2 dads. It's kind of a lot, but it's also kind of cool." A voice from somewhere in the room. "You have a daughter?" Claire stood up from table 3. "Yes, and it is a beautiful story. Let them tell it." Ben gave it to the room in 3 minutes. Clean, direct, no embellishment. 8 years ago, Juliet and I were separated. She was pregnant with our daughter, and I didn't know. Her family arranged a closed adoption without her informed consent. For 8 years, we believed we would never find her. Then, 23andMe made a match. The Walsh family, Jennifer and Michael, were extraordinary in allowing us to reconnect. Jennifer stood, hand on Lily's shoulder. Lily is fortunate to have so many people who love her. We are honored to share her with Juliet and Ben. What they have shown in the last 6 months, the care, the legal precision, the patience, has only confirmed what we already knew. Lily is lucky, so are we. From table 8, My mother's chair scraped the floor. She stood. Patricia Anderson, in her navy and pearls, a woman who had been the fixed point around which my entire childhood had orbited. This is inappropriate. This child has no place here. This is a manipulation. Ben's sister Caroline looked up from table 5. Excuse me, who are you? I am Juliet's mother. The mother who forced an 18-year-old to give up her baby? We did what was best for everyone involved. Ben's father stood, slowly, with the authority of a man who rarely raises his voice precisely because he has never needed to. Best for whom? Not for Juliet. Not for that child. Not for my son, who spent 8 years not knowing he had a daughter. My mother turned toward my father, gripped his arm, and then, in a move I genuinely did not anticipate, turned back and looked directly at Lily. Whatever she was about to say, Lily spoke first. She looked up at my mother with the quiet, level regard of an 8-year-old who has already decided something. Are you my grandmother? Absolute silence. Juliet told me I have biological grandparents who wished I'd never been born. Lily said, without heat, without accusation, simply reporting what she understood to be true. Is that you? Patricia Anderson had no remaining words. Ruth, an elderly woman who had been a member of my parents' church for over 20 years and had known my mother since before I was born, stood from table 6. Patricia, I have known you for 2 decades, and I want you to know that I am more disappointed in you than I have ever been in any person I have called a friend. Others spoke. A colleague from my pediatric unit. Juliet is the most compassionate nurse on that floor. She has always deserved better than this. Ben's business partner. This family is extraordinary. Anyone who can't recognize that is welcome to find the door. One of the church members, from my mother's own congregation, stood and said simply, forcing your daughter to give up her child is not love. It has never been love. Ruth said, Patricia, George, this is a celebration. You need to leave. My mother straightened. She took my father's arm. She moved toward the door. She stopped once, turned back, and said, You will all regret this, Juliet, every single one of you. Then she walked out. The door closed behind her. The room held one collective breath. Then someone, I still don't know who, began to clap. Then the table beside them. Then everyone, standing, a room full of people applauding not the departure, but what remained. Lily, and Ben, and Jennifer, and Michael, and something that had survived 8 years of forced silence to walk into a hotel ballroom in a purple sash and introduce herself. Lily looked around with wide eyes. Why are they clapping? Because we're a family, I said. All of us? All of us. She looked at me with the particular shyness that lives just before trust, the moment before a child decides to fully commit. Can I call you Mom, Juliet? Or is that weird since I already have a mom? You can call me whatever feels right. She thought about it with genuine seriousness. Mom Juliet and Mom Jennifer. I like that. It's like having 2 moms and 2 dads. Built-in backup. She took my hand, unprompted. No therapist in the room. Just Lily, 8 years old, deciding. It was the first time. Someone in the back was still clapping. The next day, we were married. March 29th, 2026. 3 p.m. Old South Church, Boston. 128 guests. My parents were not among them. Lily was the flower girl. White dress with purple flowers. She walked down the aisle ahead of me with total composure and a slight expression of someone who takes ceremonial duties seriously. Ben's eyes filled when he saw us both coming toward him. I watched him watching her and thought, 8 years. He lost 8 years of her. And he found her anyway. He found her the way he builds things. Quietly, methodically, without announcing it until the work was done. Our vows included one line Ben had written and shown me the night before. I promise to always choose truth over comfort and love over fear. The photographer took many photographs. The one that sits on our mantelpiece now. Lily, Ben, and me. All three holding hands in a circle. All laughing. Something someone had just said had made all three of us laugh simultaneously, and the photographer was fast enough to catch it. That specific, unconstructed joy that can't be arranged. Beside it, the Polaroid from 2017. The only other photograph I have of her from that time. 6 pounds, 8 ounces, dark hair, perfect. 2 photographs, 8 years apart, the same person, continuous. 1 week after the wedding, I mailed a certified letter to my parents. I will not be in contact with you. You are not welcome in my life, my marriage, or my daughter's life. If you attempt contact with any of us, including the Walsh family, I will pursue every available legal recourse. You had 18 years to choose love over control. You chose control. I am choosing a different path. No reply came. I had expected to feel guilty. I felt free. Completely and straightforwardly free, in a way I had not felt since I was 16 years old in a library, looking at a drawing of a house with a wraparound porch. The birthday cards. The box in my closet. 8 sealed envelopes, 1 per year, written and never sent because there was no address. On Lily's 9th birthday, August 13th, 2026, I brought the box to Jennifer's house in Brooklyn. I set it on the kitchen table. Lily looked at it. What's in there? Letters. 1 for every birthday you had that I didn't get to be there for. She opened them oldest first. The first was short. I had been 22 when I wrote it, barely coherent in my grief. You would be one today? I wonder if you're walking yet. I wonder if you have my eyes. By the 5th letter, she had gone very quiet. The specific quiet of a child absorbing something too large for immediate response. The 8th letter, the one I had written last August 13th, sitting in that parking lot for the final time, not yet knowing that in 3 weeks Ben would show me a photograph, said, "You are 8 today. I still don't know your name. I still don't know your face. But I think about you every single day without exception. And I need you to know, wherever you are, that you were wanted. You were held. Someone in the world has never stopped counting." Lily folded it carefully along its original creases and placed it back in its envelope. "Can I keep these?" "They were always for you." She picked up the box and held it against her chest with both arms, the way children hold things they have decided belong to them permanently. Jennifer was in the kitchen doorway. She turned away quietly, not out of pain, to give us the moment. That is the kind of mother she is, always knowing when to step back. Michael brought out the birthday cake. Chocolate, purple frosting, 9 candles. All 4 of us around the table. Me, Ben, Jennifer, Michael. Lily at the center, box of letters on the chair beside her. "What are you going to wish for?" Michael asked. She studied the candles with the focused gravity of someone who takes wishes seriously. Then she looked up. "I don't think I need a wish," she said. "I think I already got it." She blew out all 9 candles in one breath. "This is our life now." Lily lives with Jennifer and Michael in Brooklyn. That is her home, her school, her primary family. Wednesday dinners with us. Every other weekend, family therapy. All 6 of us, plus Dr. Reeves. It works in a way that surprises people until they spend 5 minutes watching it. She calls Jennifer and Michael Mom and Dad. She calls us Mom Jules and Dad Ben. 4 emergency contacts on her school enrollment form. 4 parents at every birthday. She once explained it to a classmate. "I have 4 parents. It's like having built-in backup." She has a bedroom in our apartment now, painted purple by her specific request, with star stickers on the ceiling. Violin in the corner, her artwork on every wall. The family portrait she finished at the rehearsal dinner hangs above her desk, the shadows now filled in. Brown hair, a smile she gave me that is more accurate than she could have known. I used to drive to a hospital parking lot every August 13th and whisper into the dark, counting years, wondering if she ever thought about me. Last August 13th, my phone rang at 7 p.m. Lily. "Mom, Jules," she said. "Did you know it's my birthday?" "I know," I said. "I've known every single one." A pause, the kind that means something is being understood. "Okay, cool. Jennifer made cake? Want to FaceTime?" We were on the phone for 45 minutes. The sketch Ben gave me on my 17th birthday hangs in our hallway now, framed between the Polaroid from 2017 and the photograph from the rehearsal dinner. The house with the wraparound porch, wide windows, trees on all sides. A someday project. For when I have a family. He drew that nursery facing east for morning light in every sketchbook for 8 years without knowing why. Now we know. Some things are built before you understand what they're for. Some people find their way back through a DNA database and a gap-toothed smile in a school photograph. Some families are not the ones you were assigned. They are the ones who kept count, quietly, in the dark. And then one day answered the phone. She answered. Every week, she answers.